Hi everyone, Trapthany Claptano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it is time for a review of the new Alex Cameron album, Miami Memory. This is the newest full-length LP from Australia native, singer, and songwriter Mr. Alex Cameron, which has been one of my most anticipated albums of the year, mostly because I have been dying to hear more from this guy ever since his 2017 album dropped, Forced Witness, which was easily one of my favorite records of that year. Alex on this project showed an incredible knack for lyricism, showmanship, character portraits, storytelling, also hilariously rude one-liners on many tracks here, embodying these completely scummy personas with criminal problems, pedo problems, anger problems, relationship problems. Forced Witness pretty much serves as a dark and funny analysis of the sleaziest men that Cameron could imagine, playing out over some truly fantastic instrumentals, embracing a golden era of synth-pop and groovy Heartland rock. There is definitely a bit of slick Springsteen and Mellencamp swagger to a lot of what Cameron was doing on that record. I think a good chunk of that has carried over onto his latest effort here too. So again, Forced Witness, loved that album, wanted to hear what Alex Cameron was going to do after this, but sadly could not bring myself to be excited to hear this new album. Mostly because I was shocked by the sound of the lead singles from this thing, the title track, Divorce, both of which feature these incessant, looped, cheap-sounding bits of cyclical percussion that kind of ruined the groove and the instrumental flow of the songs for me. I thought the third teaser track to this thing, Far From Born Again, was actually one of Alex Cameron's best songs from the outset. I thought that it was a romantic and lovely ode to sex workers, but it was slightly sad to still hear that grimy little rasp in his voice leave in favor of, I guess, a cleaner vocal tone. However, now that I'm hearing the entire record, I am growing to appreciate why that change in vocal delivery is there. I am now having some of these tracks I was once questioning growing on me a bit. I think the biggest changes in Alex Cameron's sound and writing style on this project come as a result of him no longer singing in character as he is performing these songs. The tracks on this record are Alex essentially singing from his own personal experience, which of course up until this point has informed and influenced all of his writing to some degree, but not to the point where he is literally singing about things that have happened to him, as the narrative voice that these things are actually happening to. And many of these experiences revolve around the relationship he has with his significant other, from teetering on the edge of divorce to becoming a stepdad. Miami Memory is not a super romantic, lovey-dovey, vanilla-ass album though. In true Alex Cameron fashion, he focuses mostly on when things are going to hell and delivers a hilariously disastrous take on it, occasionally detouring into, like I said earlier, an ode to sex workers, or even a dated view on masculinity with the track Bad for the Boys, which feels like a consciously satirical but also very serious and genuinely enjoyable update to Thin Lizzy's The Boys Are Back in Town, but we'll get more into that later. So Miami Memory contains all of the wit and the tuneful glory that has made Alex Cameron great up until this point. It's just got a bit of a different delivery, a different recipe. I liked a lot of the qualities of Stepdad, the opening track on this thing, where again, Alex Cameron is essentially celebrating becoming a stepdad. It's a righteous tune where I guess he's trying to relate to a significant other's kid, explain the reason for his presence in their life. I saw your mom on a TV show and that was that. My bags were packed. It's no wonder that Alex Cameron finds it so easy to embody these characters in his songs, because even when he's singing about himself and things that he's doing, he is still a character. Singing bars like, "But if you see my name in the headlines and they're all pissing on me, I'm your stepdad." dead. Alex Cameron essentially comes off like a volatile but well-meaning character in a TV dramedy. Instrumentally, the story is set to these very rigid, blaring synth chords that just don't have enough groove to them, in my view. In the mix, much of the instrumentation feels like it suffers at the hand of these blaring synthesizers that I just wish that there was more balance between all the sounds here on this track. The hook does blossom pretty nicely, though, with some light guitar and ringing tones. I do like that quality of the track, and there is something kind of shabby and rickety about the instrumentation here that reminds me of not Alex Cameron's previous record, but the one before that, where his sound and aesthetic was a lot more lo-fi and quirky. I guess I just assumed that once we were getting those high gloss, fantastic instrumentals off of Forced Witness, Alex would just continue to exist in that space, but no, in a way he has reverted to a place where he is embracing much weirder instrumental palettes, which has its pros and has its cons. Like the next track, the title track, that cyclical beat that is a through line from the front to the back of the song. Initially, I was really deeply repulsed by it, even though I did like the lyrics, even though I did like the tune at the core of the track. It has grown on me a bit since I've been listening to the album more and more. I now see the beat as a bit more hypnotic. In true Alex Cameron fashion, it is equal parts graphic and romantic, talking about, in a loving way, holding this person's hand so they're not too far out of reach, and then juxtaposing that with eating their ass like an oyster, them coming like a tsunami, and watching them pleasure a woman while you carry on. I don't think the record truly gains its footing and lights up until the third track here, Far From Born Again, which is this swanky, groovy, fun, playful tune, again, about sex workers, portraying them, I think, in a much more honest light as workers, as adults, making adult decisions, paying bills. I love the glitzy instrumentation on this track. I like the do-do-do-do-do background vocals, and the track from front to back is packed with one-liners. There's no romancing when a woman makes the money from dancing. She's not gonna fall for your charm. Also, they're angry little dogs, but she don't care what they say. Same men that tell her stop are the same suckers that pay. Far from born again, she's doing porn again. Also, Are You Seeing What I'm Seeing? In Control, in Command, I think is an essential lyric in the song, because it's like Alex is admitting or acknowledging the fact that he is looking at this profession or looking at the people doing it in a different light than most people are. And he is not seeing a slut, a whore, a terrible person, somebody who's out of control of their lives and doesn't know what to do, a total mess. He's seeing someone who is in control, in command. He's seeing the effort, the time, the energy, even I guess you could say the artistry that goes into these professions, the purpose it serves, and the giant market behind all of it. Because it truly is one of society's greatest lies that we have this thing that a vast majority of people consume. And yet the people who create this thing that so many people are consuming are chastised, they are shamed. I think the genius level writing continues onto the next track, Gaslight, where Alex Cameron makes a pretty funny observation about gaslighting within a relationship, gaslighting each other for various reasons, and also using the gaslight as a metaphor for something to, I guess, shine or light away. The whole thing is placed over this really jangly, almost folky instrumentation. It's lush, it's pretty, but quite rustic and organic too. Instrumentally, Bad for the Boys is a classic piece of piano rock that would be very comfortable in an old school New York dive bar. The track is essentially about old sexist attitudes catching up with guys who refuse to let go of them. As I said before in the review, it's pretty obvious that there is some clear inspiration coming from Thin Lizzy's The Boys Are Back in Town, a little instrumentally, a little aesthetically, but mostly lyrically, with Alex in the lyrics mentioning these men by name who have essentially fallen victim to these dated attitudes. Good old Dane, what a shame, done for a sexual harassment claim. What about Phil, lost his chill, had to eat that damn red pill. Now you're living little lives without women and blaming them for all the change. You thought the boys were supposed to stay the same, but no one cares about the good old days. So it's a cute, playful, tongue-in-cheek, socially aware bit of piano rock commentary about shifting social paradigms and also about the bitterness that some guys can't seem to let go of because they're not being given the same unearned privileges that previous generations of men may have had, at least in the sphere of relationships or gender politics anyway. So yes, while we do get a bit of mockery of people who might decry something like PC culture, simultaneously Alex does understand the importance of being able to live your own life, by your own standards, let loose, and exist without a filter, at least in some contexts. Mostly on the track PC With Me, which is a very funny song, reminding me of a time I interviewed Alex Cameron and he spoke of his significant other almost driving him to a point artistically where he is taking more risks, being less afraid of saying the wrong thing. He is essentially singing about his relationship with this person in such a way where it is a safe space in that they don't have to be PC together, they don't have to be PC with each other. I love the track's vintage piano rock instrumental palette. I love the background vocals. I love the horns. Shout out to Roy Malloy. Also, the regal chords transitioning into the hook on this thing are fantastic. I love Alex's hilarious lyrical references to Santa with AIDS and sodomy in Berlin. There are a lot of things that you could certainly accuse Alex Cameron of as a result of his songs, as a result of his back catalog, but being ill-intentioned and pulling too many punches are not two of them. We also had The Fiery Divorce, which is another track whose instrumental I didn't care for it at first, but there isn't too much in terms of intrusive sequenced percussion or anything on this track, so warming up to it more was pretty easy with a few more listens. Really, it's the explosive lyrics of this track that light it up and sell the song, essentially threatening to leave the relationship, divorce, just call things over, and doing it in such a dramatic and uncaring fashion. And even though everything Alex is saying and sharing is very clearly something he will regret later, it feels so good in the moment for him to say stuff like, I got friends in Kansas City with a motherfucking futon couch. Definitely a highlight on the record. In the track list, there are certainly a few underwhelming cuts I don't care all that much for. We have the sleepy Dylan-esque ballad Other Ladies and also the very so-so End Is Nigh. The closing track on this one is pretty strong though. Not only is it a very nice ballad, but it ends with a closing monologue that I think sums up a lot of the feelings of the record, gets down to lingering feelings of jealousy when it comes to one dealing with your romantic partner's past, because there are people on all sides of the gender aisle in the world of love that can have trust issues, can have jealousy issues when it comes to thinking about who our ex's previous partners were, thinking that they were at one time in love with somebody else. And Alex Cameron addresses these feelings, gets some closure and some resolution on them, again, in this beautiful monologue where he essentially comes to terms with the fact that these things in the past have happened and what matters the most to him now as far as keeping this relationship going, loving this person, being their rock, being their support. In my view on this record, Alex Cameron is truly sounding as good as ever as far as his singing, his lyrics, his writing, his song structures, everything. I just wish there were some instrumentals here that were a bit smoother. Let me stress that Alex Cameron is, in my view, a pretty unique artist, and what makes him unique is that he is absolutely killing it when it comes to writing witty and smart songs about love and masculinity from a male perspective. And not that anyone, even a man, deserves special treatment for coming to the conclusion that things like sexism are bad. But still, this is something that needs to internally be turned off. There's only so much yelling at, there's only so much canceling you can do to really curb it. And when it does happen, I think it's important to embrace those that do so and celebrate that, especially when they are able to make such compelling art on the matter. I'm feeling a light to decent 8 on this one. Transition, have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Alex Cameron, forever.